Bene, si devono sempre superare le difficoltà tecniche.
We always have technical difficulties to solve. So I would like to say that with this experimental survey, we wanted to evaluate the transformation, the changes of sugars within fibers. These changes could be useful for a historical reference to the Shroud of Turin. I will try to speak slower to help the translators thank. So, optical activity and racemization. A number of organic substances, many of which have a natural origin and are biologically valid, have a property, the so-called optical activity. In the course of the survey, we shall see what optical activity represents and how it can be determined. General physics tell us that light and solid light is composed by a number of radiations vibrating on all possible planes perpendicular to the direction of the propagation. This special type of propagation and radiation vibrating on a single plane is called polarized. So the substances having optical activity are those able to rotate the vibration plane of polarized light by a certain angle. The tool used for measuring this deviation is called a polarimeter. A polarimeter is formed by a lamp having monochromatic light, and this light is polarized in an apparatus which contains a solution with the sample to be analyzed. In the polarimeter, the sample to be analyzed, due to its composition, rotates the light of a given angle, which the eye of the observer assesses on a scale located within the apparatus. This tool is made by a rotation analyzer with an assessment scale of the angle. It is made by a rotated plane of the light, an analyzer vial where the sample is inserted, the plane of polarized light, polarizer, and then sodium lamp. The point of optical observation of the instrument is placed on the side of the rotation analyzer. The substances having optical activity can displace the vibration plane of polarized light to the right or left. Which must be impressed on the right or left represents, in given experimental conditions, such as light, temperature, etc., represents a fixed constant, which is a feature of the substance to be studied. The rotation angle depends on many factors, on the nature of the substance and of its solvent, on the quantity of the substances in solution crossed by polarized light, and on the wavelength of the light used for the test, on the temperature at which the test is made. If we determine the alpha angle for any its specific rotation with the following equation, when has been analyzed in the solution, alpha to the 20th is the rotation angle measured with the polarimeter. C is the concentration of the tested substance expressed in milligram in milliliter. L is the length of the vial containing the sample. 20 indicates that the temperature is 20 degrees centigrade. D indicates the wavelength, thereby indicating the spectral line, which is characteristic for the yellow light of sodium. the characterization of racemes is determined by using optically active substances. In chemical synthesis, we always obtain racemes due to equal probability of formation of the two configurations, which are optically opposed. So we have an acid hydrolysis with a temperature of 180 centigrades for about 2 hours. The solutions containing the acid depolymerizes sugars with an inversions in hexoses, glucose and fructose. Dextro sugars are separated by the opposite ones. So this displacement is measured by means of the polarimeter. The value we obtain is the algebraic sum of all sugar present in the solution. These substances can rotate the vibration plane of polarized light by a given angle, and the tool used to measure this deviation is called a polarimeter. In order to test optically active substances, we use a pure light such as the yellow light of a sodium lamp. So this light crosses a polarizing apparatus, a nickel prism, which works as a first Polaroid lens. So the light coming out of the nickel is then polarized. The substance to be tested is then placed in the analyzing vial. The possible changes of the tested substance are read and quantified. So substances having optical activity can displace the vibration plane of the crossing polarized light to the right or to the left. After the discovery that a number of organic substances have optical activity, the phenomenon has been explained with some remarks on the molecular structure of the substance. So the hint for looking for the cause of the rotatory power of a substance were supplied by test. Samples of degraded sugars yielded different results as compared with standard reference samples. Generally speaking, racemization is linked to the loss of optical activity of the tested substance. The rotation of any optically active substance can be positive or negative depending on the symbol of the rotation angle alpha. So in conclusion, if the optically active substance causes the plant to rotate to the right, it is called destrogene. Otherwise, it's the rotation is to the left, levogyre. In order to apply the method, an acid hydrolysis is used with a minimum duration of 100,000 minutes. These natural fibers are de-starched. Hydrolysis allows us to separate the possible sugar which are present in the fibers according to the rotation direction. The experimental tests proved us that optically active fibers can be separated, whereas very ancient fibers are devoid of optical activity. They racemize. A sample of optically active fibers
ha evidenziato un potere rotatorio specifico
showed a specific rotatory power of 41.2 degrees and a density of 0.861 in a pluminimetric vial of 20 centimeter. Another sample of Egyptian era taken from the bandage of Egyptian imams was devoid of optical activity, whereas another sample yielded higher values, but lower values than the medieval ones. The specific rotatory power of the sample was 18.6 degrees. The experimental work is still in course, and the final results will be published in the proceedings of the symposium. Now I would like to call Professor Diana. He was one of the very few who were present in September the 7th, 92 in the private display for experts in preservation. I would like to invite him to take the floor here.